Well, Darren, I think before the game we'd have all taken a point the way things are going, and for a time in the second half I thought the spirited response we got, we're going to come through and do that.
I felt right throughout the spirit was great. When you're down there, when the chips are down, you make two reasonably good defensive headers to the edge of your penalty area. One gets volleyed back in and it gets a deflection, it goes in the bottom corner. The next one, the lad, it's a sweet volley from the edge of the penalty area, it goes against you. That's what happens in football, unfortunately, when your luck isn't in. But as you say, another a little chat with them at half time and they came out fantastically. So I can't fault the players at the moment for the effort they're putting in. We're just not getting that little bit of luck. Although first half I felt first 25 minutes we should have capitalised on probably a little bit of dominance that we started very well, very brightly, got down the edges of their penalty area, just lacked that little bit of quality to finish it off. And they've got good players, that's take nothing away from Guiseley. They've been in the top four now consistently since they came up, and he's got a nice big budget to play with, and they've got some good footballers.
Yeah, the two goals, I mean, they're both very, very similar as you described there. Is that down to the defenders, or is it down to people helping out back in defence?
Well, I think the first one is just you head to the edge of the penalty area, it comes back in, and you see it all the time in football. Someone gets a little touch on it, or it gets a flick off your own team member. I asked questions as to whether they could have asked him to head it for a corner and you regroup for the corner. So, if some buts, it's difficult to say what David should have done. He's saying that he cleared the penalty area quite comfortably. So, from that point of view, it's a good header. But you've got to pick up second balls, and when you're top of the table and you're sharp and things are running for you, you've got someone on the end of that. And when you're defensively, you tend to push everybody towards your goal line and think that's a safe way out. But really, you just got to mark your men and look for the second ball. So I can see how people would look at it from both points of view, but at the end of the day, when you're down there, the ones that go against you.
In fact, our own goal was pretty similar. It was a clearance, and Jake Simpson came through and finished it really well.
Yeah, that just is what I'm saying. Really, that can happen. You put someone on the edge of the box to mark people, and then if they get sucked into it, you take a look with the volley where it goes. We've seen a few up and down here in the years where we've deflected our way, deflected against us. So I don't think you can do anything about that. From the defender's point of view, they've cleared the penalty area, and then we have to deal with the next one that comes in. And at this moment in time, we aren't, and people are volleying things in from empty penalty areas, and then you've got mountain to climb. But as you just said a moment ago, the spirit to come back in and get that goal and make it quite close towards the end was testament to the players.
And then, of course, their goal 3 minutes from the end, we're pushing forward. It's one of those things.
Yeah, it is. You either push for the draw, or it peters out, and they push for the draw brilliantly, and got in some good areas to make it 2-0, and then they've got that little bit of quality, and it's a great finish from him.
Jake Simpson, I thought, did really well. He came on for the second half as a substitute, and he looked as though a player who was trying to make a point, or certainly put in 100% effort to catch your eye.
Yeah, he's got a great attitude, and he's been probably the unlucky one in the last couple of weeks, but he admits himself that defensively he needs to work on his game that way and not switch off from that point of view. But his quality is there for all to see, and we've seen it again this week in training. He's been really good in training, so that a positive that comes out of every game, and today it's probably Jake Simpson.
The bonus as well, of course, was the fact that we played the second half, the spirit that was shown, the response, without a man who plays with his heart. That's Carl May, who had to come off at half time.
Yeah, it took a heavy blow to the face and was feeling quite sick from it, so we had no alternative but to bring him off. He felt that he couldn't continue, and then also don't forget the same spirit that you have as a centre forward. He's suspended at the moment. You're losing your two parts of your spine down the middle of your team, so it's difficult, and losing Carl didn't make it any easier.
Is it a bonus not to have a game next week without the FA Cup, or would you prefer to get out back in action in the league next week?
Well, I'd prefer to have been in the FA Cup next week. Yeah, if you're asking me that question. So, but we're not, so we have to deal with that. And now the players are probably thinking that the weekend will just help them a little bit now. We'll have to pick a few people up and get spirits going again, and the weekend mentally will probably help them, I think. And then we're going to Boston fresh and ready, and we've got to end this spell. We've got to, in the next 5 or 6 games, we need to pick up some decent amount of points and get some confidence going and look the right way.
It's been a frustrating week as well, trying to bring people in, and you missed out on bringing some loan experience in, and then of course you've lost Tom Smythe, I gather.
Yes, I spoke to Tom yesterday afternoon, and he was ironically going to be coming back into to play into the team today. But that's the way it goes again when you're down, and people have got, you know, teams in and around where they live that can offer more money, etc. And you know, there's nothing you can do about it. So we wish Tom all the best. He's been a great servant a couple of times he's been with us, and he wishes all the lads all the best, and you know, he's a great lad, so he'll do well at Northwich, and hopefully we'll see him next year if they get promoted.
And what about Viv, of course? The big news, of course, that you're losing your assistant manager. You very, very eloquently said in the newspapers what you thought about him. Just like to say on air, what you thought about Viv's contribution, Darren.
Yeah, to me personally, he's been invaluable. I know it seems a bit ironic saying all these things now when we've had this run of results we've had at the moment, but yeah, from my point of view, to come into management and learn off someone who's had 45 years, whatever it is in football, it's been fantastic for me. And you know, the years before that, a couple of years before that at Gretna as well, where I picked things up from him. So yeah, a fantastic fella as well, and you know, no airs or graces about him. Played at the highest level for such a long time, and coached at the highest level. He's one of the most down-to-earth people you'll ever meet. So for me personally, it's a massive loss on the field and off it, to be honest, because you know, in that coaching, in that dugout, he's great for me, in that dressing room, he's great for me, and away from the field, he's been great for me as well. So yeah, it's tough. I'll have to you know, get my thinking cap on about that one now as to where we go with the assistant route, and speak to a few people about that. But yeah, I'd like to say on air now to Viv Busby, thank you very much, and you know, let's hope you have a great retirement.
I noticed there was an application in within half an hour of the news hitting the streets, Darren.
There's been a few coming through my phone, so we'll flick through all the good ones and the bad ones, and then try and get someone who's gonna, you know, give to the lads what Viv has, and help us along and get us out of this slump that we're in.
I suppose the obvious one is somebody local who you know, your experience, a former player who would do the job. But the other one that people have suggested, if you can get hold of a guy who's coming to the end of his playing career, who might be of use as a player coach too.
Yeah, there's a lot. You know, we've got a couple of weeks to think about it, and that's an avenue that I'm looking into. It's just where we live. You know, there aren't that many people around here. Ex-pros coming to the end of their career, there aren't that many around here. So again, you know, geography is against everything, whether that's players or coaches or whatever else, managers, etc. So we'll, you know, myself and the chairman and Viv, obviously, you know, we'll speak to Viv about any ideas and people that he's got in mind. But we've got a few people on a list that we'll speak to, and hopefully select the right one, and you know, we can start to pick some points up.
Darren, thanks very much.